Instead, they opted to fine Draymond $25,000, which is not nothing. For him, it's not a ton, right? For you or me, that's death. But for him, it's a lot of money still. $25,000 is quite a bit of money to spend on basically the opportunity to kick a person below the belt. So Draymond Green is getting fined $25,000. Foul is upgraded to a flagrant 2 foul. And Draymond will be available for tonight's game. And whether or not the league did the right thing has been the topic of conversation. If you listen to The Herd with Colin Cowherd on this station a few hours ago, you heard him say that this is the league made the right decision, that you live in a world of gray and not a world of black and white. Me, I don't care about the gray or the black or white or whatever. I'm saying hitting somebody below the belt, that's just wrong. And whether or not he did it on purpose is unimportant, because if he did it on purpose, he's a bad person. If he did it on accident, he's reckless. Either way, you send a message that that's not something that you appreciate in today's NBA. Cheap shots in that area of the human anatomy. I think that that's a strong decision that you ought to send. I don't have a problem with what the league chose to do here. Upgrading it to a flagrant 2, Draymond Green's next flagrant foul will result in a suspension regardless. But the league did make the best decision for the league. Okay, you don't want a bad playoff series. For goodness sakes, we were sitting there eulogizing the Toronto Raptors 2 games ago, and we were all, saying that that's a bad series of basketball. And now the Raptors have turned it around. The series is tied 2-2. That's what the league wants. That's what was paid for. They owe it to ESPN. They owe it to TNT to make sure that Draymond Green plays in this game, because that's what those networks paid for. And if the league is beholden to anybody, it's beholden to the network that pays for that product. The networks pay them for it, right? And then on top of that, the fans are paying for this experience as well, because we watch the network's advertising and we pay the tickets to go see the game. Nobody wants to actually watch a game in which the Thunder don't have Draymond Green, because that is a huge disadvantage. If you thought that they couldn't stop Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook before, they have no prayer of stopping those guys without Draymond Green working the middle paint area. Not a hope or a prayer. So the decision that the league made ultimately was the correct decision for the league. If you wanted to go, was it the correct decision for morality? And yes, hitting somebody in the family jewels is a strong moral issue. It is a tough one that's facing America today. Then no, I don't think they made the right decision, but I'm okay with the decision that they made. They said it's serious enough to fine him and upgrade to a flagrant 2, but we need to have the best possible playoff series for people to watch. And the Warriors go down 3-1. This series is effectively over, because there's no way on earth the Warriors beat the Thunder 3 times before the Thunder just win once. That can't happen. It's just not going to happen. So if this series gets tied up at 2-2, that's exactly what everybody paid for. And if you want to know the kind of numbers that the NBA is beholden to the networks for, ESPN and TNT, if you recall, they just signed their new network TV deal 4 years ago. 2 years ago. I can't count. Leave me alone. 2 years ago. Okay, they struck a 9-year, $24 billion media rights deal with ESPN and Turner Sports. Okay, $24 billion over 9 years. If you deliver after all of that money, terrible basketball, because you weren't sure what it was that Draymond Green did, you're wasting $24 billion with a B. Okay? There's no way that Draymond Green was going to be missing tonight's game. I think if the league had a moral stance, any kind of moral backing, that's what they would do. You'd let Draymond Green go. but if you're going to talk about what makes us the most money and what's fair to TNT for what it is that they paid to us, then yeah, having Draymond Green in that series is the thing that's most fair. And I think that that's ultimately the correct decision for the league itself. And quite frankly, for the fans, you want someone to be punished fairly. But really, the person or persons who this affects the most is the rest of the players in this league. Because you can't help but feel like if you're Rodney Stuckey, right, and you flail the way that Draymond Green did, and you hit somebody below the belt, understand you're getting suspended. You're not a big enough star on a big enough team to not catch that suspension. You're getting suspended. If you're, I don't know, trying to think of a person, Mason Plumlee, and you do that, you're suspended. And you're actually a key part of your team. You're still suspended. You're not as big a star as Draymond. It is a star power suspension. We all know what Draymond means to the Thunder. It's terrible basketball if he's not there. So he's there. Plain and simple. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We're talking about Steven Adams and him getting kicked in the balls. And now we're going to talk about Tom Brady and balls, but not those kinds, the football, the deflated kind. But before we go there, before we cross that line, I'd like to talk to you about the platforms. Where can you find us and where can we find you? We'd love to find you on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure to check us out on those social media. You can stream all of our local shows live. I highly recommend listening to The Entrepreneur Source with Bruce Krebs. I listen to that show all the time. I like the sound of his voice, but also he's a very smart person who talks about starting your own business. And you can get in touch with him as well. So look him up. I highly recommend that also. You can also check us out on hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream 24/7, 365. This show we do every weekday, 6 to 7. We do this dance, and you can stream it. You can also get links to all of our social media from there. So you can stream the show live on Facebook as well. And you can go to YouTube and go through all of our archived classic episodes. We never call them old. And make sure to check us out in the TuneIn Radio app. I highly recommend that. Also, for those of you on the go with mobile devices, the TuneIn Radio app is absolutely free in your favorite app store. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio in the search bar, give us a favorite, and press play, and you'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. The Living Dead. If you watch The Walking Dead or, I don't know, Night of the Living Dead, or even Game of Thrones, what with the White Walkers showing up all the time. Zombies. They keep coming, and no matter what you do, you can't stop it. They keep coming, and they keep coming at you until all of us are gone. This is Tom Brady and this Deflategate story. They keep coming with this nonsense, and it was barely entertaining when it first started. It's not entertaining at all now. Like I just talked about Draymond Green and whether or not he kicked Steven Adams and what should the league do. That's great radio stuff. Like because of the variety of opinions you can have on that, it's a great thing to talk about on the air. So is this. This is the perfect thing to talk about on the air because you've got the drama. Did Tom Brady cheat? Did he not cheat? If he cheated, what does this mean for his legacy? How would he have cheated if he did cheat? I don't think he cheated. Do you think the league is being unfair and ridiculous? We've gone through all of those motions with this story. The issue that makes this terrible radio is that it's a sequel. And like most sequels, it's terrible. It's terrible. If a sequel is the same as the original, it's bad. If the sequel loses what the original had in mind, it's bad. This is doing both. It's both the same thing as the original. The league is saying Tom Brady did deflate those footballs. He should be suspended. And Tom Brady is like, I did not deflate those footballs. I am not being suspended. And at the same time, it's losing track of what is important here, which is that the league was trying to get Tom Brady suspended because they thought that he was cheating. And now it feels like the league is trying to get Tom Brady suspended because the league doesn't like that Tom Brady thwarted them once. And the league is looking like a comic book villain in his secret lair after being defeated by the hero again. You haven't seen the last of me. Yeah, we have. Okay. They already upheld the decision in court. Tom Brady did not miss any games last season. Tom Brady will not stop fighting this. You need to understand this and understand this clearly. Tom Brady is obsessed with his legacy, like all great quarterbacks near the end of their careers are. Why do you think Peyton Manning came back and played in the NFL for another season? Do you think he was having fun when he tore his plantar fasciitis? I mean, do you think he was having fun there where he tore that ligament in his foot? Because I don't think he was. Okay? Peyton Manning looked worse than he had ever looked. He looked as beat up as he had ever looked. But if he came away with another Super Bowl, legacy sustained. Right? That's why he came back. That's why Tom Brady is never going to be done fighting this. If Tom Brady had this come up, if there were deflated footballs after 2002, right? The Patriots win their Super Bowl in 2001. Tom Brady's starting to become something of a household name, but he's not super famous yet, and we don't know him yet as that dude. Tom Brady's not fighting this. It's not about the legacy yet. He's in the prime of his career. He's just focused on winning games. Tom Brady's already won the games. Dude's been to 6 Super Bowls already. He's won 4 Super Bowls already. Okay, he's one of the most prolific quarterbacks, if not the most prolific quarterback in league history. Tom Brady doesn't have anything left to prove, but he does have a lot to lose here in this case. He's not going to stop. So the league should just stop. What does the league get out of doing this? Okay, besides the extra drama that comes with us talking about it, except that now we're just tired of talking about it. Nobody is talking about this in the same volume as they were a year ago, and it was starting to get played around this time a year ago. We were all getting sick of it. We talked about it all the way into September, and then the court rules in favor of Tom Brady. They play an entire NFL season, and we're like, okay, this is behind us now. And the league had to go dig this stuff up. And why? And what purpose does this serve? Except to annoy me and you. Yeah, we're still talking about football, but it's not the same. It's not the same. I know the NFL rolls with that any publicity is good publicity, but come on, man. This is not that. And if you haven't learned with head trauma that that's not even true, like us talking about head trauma does not make us want to watch football more. Every sport needs a bad guy, okay? But the bad guy has to be playing the sport for that to work, okay? I told you my father hated near the middle of Michael Jordan's career when the Bulls were just doing all that winning. Didn't like Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan wasn't a nice person. So Michael Jordan was a bad guy. You watch Michael Jordan to see if he would lose. When LeBron went down to Miami, bad guy. Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, bad guys. They were cocky. They were arrogant. Nobody liked them, but everybody watched them. Bad guys. New York Yankees, bad guys. Every sport needs bad guys. That works out best when the bad guys are the ones playing on the field, though. The bad guys can't be Roger Goodell and the NFL. That doesn't work quite as well. I'm not rooting against Roger Goodell actively when I tune in to watch games on Sundays. I tune in to watch the Washington Redskins play. That's my team, okay? When they play other teams that I hate, I watch that too. I watch all the other teams that I hate, right? I told you, and I've said a number of times, like I feel like Russell Wilson's kind of phony, a little bit. Just comes off that way. So when the Seahawks play, I root against them. Take no shame in it. I root against him. I root against him. Okay. He's a great player. Not going to deny that. He's a fantastic player. He's just kind of phony. And I don't like it. You tune in to root what you don't like. The league putting the target on its back is taking away from the fact that there could be bad guys on any of these other teams. And they're putting the target on us. Yeah, hate us. Oh, gladly. We already do that. Or do you not hear that we boo you every NFL draft and we'll boo you until such a time as you retire as league commissioner? We don't like you. That's not making viewership go up. Okay, when LeBron went to Miami and we didn't like him, that's when viewership went up. People were tuning in at an all-time high to watch LeBron James and the Miami Heat. We wanted to see them lose because they sat there on a stage and arrogantly said they were going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7 championships. They thought it was going to be so easy. And the comeuppance there was hilarious. We loved that when they lost that first championship. The league needs bad guys. But the bad guys have to be players, not the commissioner. Listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. And I want to jump into NASCAR a little bit because at Charlotte Motor Speedway, they had the NASCAR All-Star race. And I'm going to get into this on the other side of the break as well. Break it down a little bit more because the rules are horrifyingly confusing. And here's the thing, too. It's an all-star event. And what is the one rule about all-star events? They're all awful. They are all bad. Every single last one of them, they're ridiculous. Not one good thing has ever come out of them. And you could go across any sport, okay? Baseball probably does the best. Maybe golf with the Ryder Cup. U.S. versus U.K. And that's a great showdown when both of those sides are good. Other than that, all-star games are terrible. It's universal. NFL's all-star game, boo. Leave me out of it. I don't even want to watch it. The NBA, nobody tries until the last 2 minutes, and it's usually the guy that's got the most points trying to go for that MVP. Major League Baseball, outside of the fact that the World Series home field advantage is decided in that game, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it, right? Because say you are Freddie Freeman, let's say, right? And somehow you make the All-Star game. Again, let's just hypothetical, right? Why should you care that the National League has home field advantage in the World Series when you play for the Braves? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't understand. Like, they tried to spice it up, okay? But really, what does that do? It doesn't do anything. But you're trying. You're trying anything you can to make these glorified exhibition games interesting, and you can't do it. Nobody can. Okay? It's supposed to, on paper, it's a fantastic idea. The best players from this conference and the best players from this conference play each other in a giant game. You would think that that's a great thing, but they've got no chemistry. Some guys don't try. During the Pro Bowl in the NFL, you're in Hawaii and you're on vacation. Why on earth would you ever try? Why would you risk injury for a tiny paycheck and the amusement of people? That's not a good enough reason. At least during the regular season when you're playing games that are just meaningless at the end of the season, you've been eliminated from playoff contention, for instance, that at least you're playing for your team, you're playing for your pride, you're playing for the guy next to you. Hey, in the Pro Bowl, what are you playing for? A chance to win a Cadillac? Okay, sure. Most of these guys could buy a Cadillac in their sleep. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose. NASCAR's All-Star race is worse than it's ever been. Even the racers didn't understand it, and we'll get into that next.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. You and I know that real men are prepared for anything. You know what I'm talking about because you're a take charge guy. Everyone's talking about Grimm's Tactical, featuring first responder gear, survival gear and equipment, Voodoo Tactical, Leapers. For personal protection, Grimm's Tactical features non-lethal personal protection gear, AR/AK parts, knives, canning and dehydrating equipment, If you hike and camp, Grimm's Tactical has got what you're looking for. Bags and packs. And for your side piece, concealed carry holsters. For men and women. Plus, Grimm's Tactical carries a wide variety of freeze-dried food. Wise Mountain House. Backpacker's Pantry. Grimm's Tactical, where law enforcement shops. Safari Lane. Blackhawk. 511. First responder gear at Grimm's Tactical. Grimm's Tactical, 8115 East Brainerd Road, in the shopping center next to the Walmart Marketplace. Look for the Mighty Mini U-Haul office. Grimm's Tactical is right next door. Grimm's Tactical, 8115 East Brainerd Road.
Just imagine not a cloud in the sky. It's the perfect day on the water. You could be enjoying boating with friends or wetting your line to catch a fish. Or maybe it's just you and that special someone on a sunset cruise. All of this without the hassle of owning a boat, with your membership in the Carefree Boat Club. As you relax and spend time with the ones you care about, you have the peace of mind of knowing you're a member of the Carefree Boat Club. Weekends were made for relaxing and being hassle-free, just like the Carefree Boat Club. Let us take the worry out of boat ownership. No matter if you enjoy fishing, skiing, cruising the lake, or maybe even an overnight adventure, we have a boat for you at the Carefree Boat Club. Start making memories today. Call 423-619-7156 to join. Boating season is here, so do not wait. Call now, 423-619-7156. Carefree Boat Club is located at the Harbor Lights Marina, 9718 Hickson Pike.
Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas.
Expect mostly clear skies to continue through the nighttime, but milder overnight, lows 60 to 63. For the midweek, a little more like summertime out there with mainly dry weather through Thursday with a little more heat, haze, and humidity, and highs each day around 90. Looking for something fun for the kids this summer? Bring them to Abba's House for an over-the-top underground adventure at Cave Quest June 5th through the 8th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. To register, abbashouse.com/cavequest. And I'm Sports 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. The name of the Ironman competitor who died in the water has been released. Colonel Gene Montague is his name. He was swimming in the early leg of the Ironman Chattanooga 70.3 when he began to struggle. He was pulled out by emergency crews and administered CPR, but unfortunately, it was too late. Family members say they're shocked. He was a very healthy person and a very happy person. He served in the U.S. Army in Afghanistan and Kosovo, earning the rank of colonel. And in Bradley County, the sheriff's office is trying to find out who stole a couple's grave marker. The grave marker for Annie and Lewis Bradley has been stolen. It's bronze, engraved with bowling pins. The sheriff's office does not have any photos of it. Investigators are asking for the public's help. If you see it, it's worth $2,300, and you're asked to report it to the Bradley County Sheriff's Office at 423-728-7336. A downed tree blocked the scenic highway on Lookout Mountain this morning. Communications lines and power lines were taken down. Crews are working to restore them. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Somebody might vote for Donald Trump if he could make NASCAR's all-star race great again, but that seems doubtful because it was confusing and nobody understood it, not even the racers. Nobody understood what was happening in the race. Tony Stewart wrecked during NASCAR's All-Star race, and it was really hard to follow. The caution, like the segments didn't make any sense, and when the caution flag came out during the end of the first segment, I think it really threw the whole format for a loop. It was bizarre, and it was weird, and Tony Stewart wrecked his car, and he talked to NBC sports writer Nate Ryan, and he was heard saying, "This makes no expletive sense to me where we're supposed to be right now. Lap down and lead lap cars. Like we don't know." And a caution came out during the race. The race was divided into 3 segments. In each segment, you had to make a minimum of 1 pit stop and take a minimum of 2 tires. And a caution came out near the end of the first segment, which meant that some cars were trapped taking a pit and couldn't get out. And then they ended up down a lap instead of, I don't even know what happened. They ended up down a lap somehow. And because the wave around rules don't apply where you can be on the lead lap after you pit and there's a caution, you can get back on the lead lap once the pace car turns off its lights. Well, they didn't have the wave around rule for this, and guys ended up being a lap down at the end of the first segment, and nobody knew why, and there was no explanation, and nobody knew where they were supposed to be. And you had some guys with new tires in the back of the pack and guys with old tires in the front, and it was just bizarre and wonky. And I understand that there's this idea that you're supposed to make your all-star game accessible. I was just saying before the break, they're all bad. There's no good all-star game. I dare you to find one besides maybe the Ryder Cup, and even that isn't good if the UK has superior golfers to the US, which at the moment they do. It's not great, okay? No all-star game is. And so you end up trying to use your all-star game because that's what it is. You take the best of the league and you try and put on a show for the fans. And during that exhibition, bring new fans in. You glamorize the game. The NBA probably does it better than anybody else because of all the extra events that they have, the 3-point shooting contest, the slam dunk contest, the skills challenge. It's, that odd game of horse that they do. It's all weird, but it's fun. You get to see the basketball players in a format that's not the one that you usually see them in, and that at least is exciting. This dunk contest was probably the best one that we've had since, I don't know, Vince Carter a long time ago. So you have options here. I think where NASCAR struggles is it struggles with recognizability of these racers in terms of drawing in fans, and that notoriety that you need in order to not just endorse yourself, but endorse other products. And by endorsing other products, get your racers and get your face into more homes. You're trying to become a little less of a niche, if that makes any sense at all. So you have guys whose faces you can't see doing an action that you don't see. You've driven a car, so you know what that action is, but you don't see what it is that they're actually doing in real time. If I'm watching a basketball game and Russell Westbrook is driving to the basket, that is exactly what he is doing. I can see his face. I can see his frustration. I can see his rage that he has against the rim as he tries to break it with every dunk. You can see all of those things. You can't see that as much in NASCAR, so that hurts it. In the same way that helmets hurt stars in football. Outside of big-name quarterbacks, guys, you see them in commercials all the time, they have to wear jerseys for you to know who they are. J.J. Watt is the best defensive player in the league. If you put him in a commercial on TV, my girlfriend doesn't know who that is. Okay? She has no clue. And she doesn't care. And like Verizon had a series of commercials with J.J. Watt. He's got to wear his Houston Texans number 99 jersey. Why? Because if he doesn't wear that, you're not aware that he's a football player. You just look at this guy and go, he's huge. That's all. And that is hurting NASCAR. It does. And we are the home for NASCAR here in Chattanooga, which, by the way, one of the fastest growing sports in America. The NBA is declining. The NFL is growing, but not quickly anymore, which makes sense because you've already got pretty much all the eyeballs you're going to get. You've got a ton. NHL declining. It's up and down, really. The playoff numbers in the NBA are down. Okay. Only mixed martial arts and NASCAR are growing at a tremendous rate. And yet, NASCAR has trouble selling this all-star race for two reasons. One is the notoriety that I mentioned before. You just don't know what these guys look like. My girlfriend, take her, for example, because she's not a huge sports fan, and she's definitely not a NASCAR fan. She knows Jeff Gordon's name. She knows Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s name. But she doesn't really know what they look like. She's never seen those faces. And these are the biggest stars in the sport, or at least Jeff Gordon was until a year ago, right? Like, these are the biggest stars in the sport, and they have name recognition. The name means something. The face, though, nothing. And the face is what sells. For instance, the commissioner of the NHL, he got made fun of last season for saying that guys need to stop it with these playoff beards in hockey because you already wear a helmet. And then on top of that, you've just got all of this facial hair and nobody knows what you look like. Like the picture of you that's online does not look like you now 3 months into the playoffs because you've just got a gigantic beard and you look like Moses trying to part the Red Sea. We don't know what that is. And it's harder to sell, especially since you've got a lot of these guys. They're pretty good looking guys. They're just covered up in beard, which they all look like the same Swede. Or the same Canadian. That doesn't do anything for anybody. It's difficult to sell. And again, the face is what sells it because LeBron James, recognizable face. Steph Curry, recognizable face. Michael Jordan, recognizable face. We're not there yet in football where everybody's face is recognizable. But even if you look at the quarterbacks, recognizable face, Cam Newton, recognizable face, Tom Brady, recognizable face, Peyton Manning. Peyton doesn't have to wear his jersey. J.J. Watt does. But the NFL is at least further along in that they're quarterbacks. Drew Brees doesn't have to wear a jersey. Okay, Tony Stewart needs to wear his racing suit. Not for NASCAR fans to know who he is, but if Tony Stewart's name is going to be attached to a General Electric refrigerator for whatever reason, you need to know why this person matters and why he's trying to sell you stuff. Okay? And there's a specific nature to this job. There's a reason why you're a sports star. The glamour that you have in sports comes from the direct economic principle of scarcity. There's not a whole lot of people that do what you do at the level that you do it. Because if you can't do that, you're gone. All right? Peyton Manning would have tried to play another season in this league. Peyton Manning played terribly, and the Broncos still won a Super Bowl. He would have tried to come back, but he couldn't play well anymore. The Broncos basically forced him out the door. Peyton Manning's a living legend. Okay? If you're a teacher or a police officer, or a social worker, or anybody that does a job that matters, okay? Your job matters a ton more than any athlete, okay? And yet the athlete is the one that's raking in millions of dollars. LeBron James, billion-dollar deal with Nike. Why? Because his face is out there. And there's not a whole lot of people that can do what he does the way that he does it, and a lot of people want to see it. A lot of people aren't aware of what they're missing when they have a teacher. We're all forced to have teachers. We don't see that as particularly special. Which is a shame, quite frankly. I mean, if you want to go into all of that, like that is one of the true tragedies of America, is that the people who have arguably the most value don't have the most visibility. And there's a ton of things that you can do to probably increase that visibility. But you live in a capitalistic society. the person that is able to draw the most eyeballs, they win. I mean, you look at and I've heard Colin Cowherd actually use this analogy once too, and it's a great analogy about Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann was on MSNBC, and he's the great, liberal guy on MSNBC. I know you probably don't really listen to it a lot because it's a lot of liberal stuff that nobody agrees with, really. But Keith Olbermann was the guy that was for Democrats. He was their Bill O'Reilly. He was their Sean Hannity. He really was polarizing. And he took his act to current TV and fell off of the map. We couldn't find Keith Olbermann anywhere, okay? His little small following of Olbermannites followed him to current TV, but most people who were watching MSNBC and put up with him because he was there, when he left MSNBC, it's about location, okay? You're trying to sell on a corner store, okay? You're trying not to get lost in the city. You don't want to be in the bad part of town. You want to be out there by the Walnut Street Bridge. That's where you want to be selling stuff. If you're here in Chattanooga, that's where you want to be. Keith Olbermann wanted to be on MSNBC. He thought he could take his act to current TV, and you might as well just be out in the country somewhere. You just lost sight of the guy. And now he's back on ESPN. He's back on a corner store. Okay, you go to where the eyeballs are, and all the eyeballs are on the NFL, they're on the NBA, and these guys and these highly specific weird talents that they have. And NASCAR has this problem, which is that they have the eyeballs watching their sport, but nobody recognizes the people in it. It's a recognizability thing because people suffer through the NHL All-Star Game if you're a hockey fan. Like, I watched the NBA All-Star Game. I gripe and moan and complain, it's worthless, it's pointless, why do they do this? I groan through the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Why does this impact the World Series? Oh no, how could this be? But at the same time, I'm a fan of those sports. I'll suffer through and watch it. But I'm also watching it for a series of faces that I recognize. NASCAR fans will watch the NASCAR All-Star race, but they're not going to be able to get any of their family and friends stuck watching this thing because they can't recognize the people in it. It's like having a great location for your store and then hiding all of your produce and tinting all of your windows. And we didn't bother to put a name on here either. You're just going to have to guess what we are. Why? There's got to be a way to solve this problem of recognizability because you don't have it. Not like you used to. And we've got a bunch of new stars coming in. We got to get used to all of these guys, the Austin Dillons of the world. It's tough. It's tough. And then on top of that, this is supposed to be your showcase of the NASCAR season. It doesn't look demonstratively different than the rest of the year. And then on top of all of that, you're not very recognizable. And that you change the format of the race annually. Stop doing that. We know how NASCAR works. Divide people up into teams or something. And have the aggregate amount of points mean something. What are you doing? There's got to be some format change that works here. What you're doing, what you're asking for is bizarre. And on blackflag.com, there's a great write-up on why the NASCAR race, or the All-Star race rather, was a gigantic mess. And Alanis King wrote the article, and I am trying, okay? I would really love to have her on the show and pick her brain about this because I too want to know what the deal is with how big of a mess this was. That Tony Stewart, who is an intelligent driver, a great driver, is sitting here going, I don't, expletive, wait, this makes no expletive sense to me where we're supposed to be right now. Lap down and lap lead and lead lap cars, hashtag NASCAR. You just have, nobody understands what happened in that race. And that's unfortunate because that should be the time when people are coming in to see who you are and what you're about. You're listening to AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. It's been a few days. I don't know what the incident counter is on that since I've talked about race, so I'm going to do it again because it's funny. Christian McCaffrey is a great running back. Plays for Stanford, and he's got a feature that not a whole lot of running backs that we recognize have, and that is that he's white. Just a fact. Okay, and Christian McCaffrey is upset about the characterization of him as a running back, even though Christian McCaffrey is incredibly athletic. He's incredibly athletic, but he doesn't get characterized that way. People say that he's a hard worker and that he's a grinder, and you don't hear them say those same things about Leonard Fournette and Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott and other great running backs, right? Like, why? All of those guys are black. We just assume that the athleticism is inherent in who they are. Conversely, you see it with quarterbacks all the time. The black quarterback is the athlete. He's going to break down the play by running around. He's not winning the game with his mind. He's winning the game with his legs. Always. Even though you've got black quarterbacks that typically haven't been very quick, very fast. Donovan McNabb was fast at one point, but I would argue in the prime of his career, it wasn't speed that was getting him places. I assure you of that. He had a little bit of wiggle to him, but no, he didn't have speed. Steve McNair wasn't fast. That guy was beating you from the pocket with his arm. So there's a characterization there that we do to these athletes because you tend to be the outlier of a certain race playing a certain position. And specifically, it's running back and quarterback. Quarterback is predominantly white. Running backs are predominantly black if you look at the NFL and the guys that make it there. And part of it is the characterization that we're doing to Christian McCaffrey right now. That Christian McCaffrey is a white running back who is incredibly athletic. Okay? He's incredibly athletic, and he's getting all of the same descriptions that we typically give to white running backs. And it's offensive to all parties involved. All parties involved. If you're a black running back, why aren't you a hard worker? Why doesn't anybody ever say that about you? Leonard Fournette is there stomping Auburn players into the ground, okay? He ate that entire defense. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, we couldn't find him after the game. I assume that Leonard Fournette devoured those guys. Like literally devoured them in the instant that he ran them over, okay? Because I didn't see him after. So I just have to assume that he just went all, I don't know, Hannibal Lecter on him or something. He just demolished that entire team and the morale. He's impossible to tackle. But we don't say that same thing about Christian McCaffrey, even though you watch Christian McCaffrey. He's not a huge guy, but he's a big enough guy that he's a problem to tackle. He's ridiculously fast. Multi-purpose yards. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He can beat you in space. He can run between the tackles. Christian McCaffrey can do everything. He's a hard worker. Both of his parents are athletes. That guy is an athlete. Why do we do this? Every single time we have an opportunity to say something intelligent racially about somebody, and we fall back on the old stereotypes that we always fall back on. If a quarterback is black, he's athletic. We don't worry about his mind so much, which is crazy because Cam Newton became a more intelligent quarterback. If a white running back is good, we say he's a hard worker, he's a grinder, he's a gym rat. So why can't that guy just be straight up athletic? What is wrong with giving that guy that compliment? We're not taking away from the fact that he's got a great work ethic. Like, we didn't think he was lazy. We don't think that Leonard Fournette's lazy, right? Like, Leonard Fournette came into camp overweight, but he came into camp overweight with muscles, though. He came into camp overweight with muscle, not fat. Thanks for listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little slice of your time. You know that I appreciate you. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.